Alright, there isn't a tremendous amount in these next generation Danfoss VLT drives. That's part of the control circuitry. There's obviously another display and keypad board which clips in on top of it. Board US obviously means unserviceable. Tiny little surface mount ICs with the little heatsink pads on them. Oh yeah, that's how that one failed. There's a burnt out resistor which has had a bit of a spike. Yeah, there's not much to it. Got a communications port for PC and that's about it. Heat sinking, squishy pads, and that is the inverter board. Don't know what's horribly wrong with it, but which is definitely not going to be very happy. These things have been flooded with water, so they're definitely not going to have the capacity to charge in, but you always got to be careful. They all use Torx screws. They're not slotted or Phillips, although some of them do have an auxiliary slot in them. You need special Torx drivers for them. I'm sort of scraping the bottom of the barrel at the moment. Most of mine are worn out. I've got to put a set of those on order one day, and new cordless and other tools and shit. Just as soon as I catch up with bills and car stuff. Never ending when you live on your own. Got a couple of tiny little caps, 150 microfarad. Nice big current reactor in there. Fairly serious current though. I don't know what generation this is. It's a bit different to the other one I've got. This was from another drive. Obviously this one must be much higher capacity. 1000 microfarad 450 volt caps. Bigger current reactor. Yeah, much bigger. And this one has a single iron core dry current reactor on the chassis as well. Or choke actually, this is a DC choke coil. It's like 2 in 1, potted in epoxy. Wonderful stuff. Yeah, there it is. Heat sinking material. Nothing too special, it's just a DC choke. And the box, well, yeah, just got a cooling fan in it at the top. All die cast, nice and heavy. Good scrap. Let's try an aqua drive next. The auxiliary cooling fan's nothing special. DC 24 volt, with little draft slots in it. Done. Clean alley. Alright, this one's the aqua drive. Evidently they've taken the control out of it, but we'll see if the main board is a bit different. The outside of this has been powder coated. A little bit better corrosion protection. Big IGBT brick on this one. I'm guessing aqua drive is for pumps and other things like that. I don't think there's going to be anything physically different. Just the powder coating on the outside for corrosion resistance and programming. And be all in the controls load handling capabilities and other things like that. Torque control and speed control for pumps. Yeah, about the same. See the water lines come up about yay high. She's gotten a bit wet. About the same deal though. Looks the same as the HVAC drive. Funny thing is, that's the mains input there, and there's no sign of a three-phase rectifier. It's like little polyfilm caps, that's about it. I wonder if these are a proper inverter VFD. Not like the older first generation or early generation ones that I've dismantled before. They're a lot simpler. Very simple. Got the same choke coils on it for the DC bus. No sign of a rectifier, that's the only thing that's got me with it. Unless it's in the module. Maybe that IGBT brick contains everything. I think I've found a recycler for PCBs and plastics now, so there'll be no more having to pay tip fees to get rid of the stuff. That's sort of the idea of what electronics recycling is supposed to be. It's supposed to recycle the electronic side of it, not just the steel and aluminium casings and things. And unfortunately, when the scrap metal market crashed a couple of years ago, people just stopped buying it, and I lost a lot of money on it and just had to cut my losses and either sell it as steel scrap, like printed circuit boarding with the steel, or pay tip fees to get rid of it. So it's starting to come up again though. They are fussy. They're a bit fussy about what they buy. It's got to be pretty good grade. So even with the scrap metal, if I were to cut the coils out of one of those choke things, if I were to just cut that out and put it in as copper, they won't take it. There's too much plastic. So they have to be burnt, or they have to go in with the steel bin, where they'll get burnt anyway in the incinerator. Those really big ones that I did, there's no way that would count. The scrap man gave me these to burn out too. The customer brought them in thinking they were domestic copper, which they used to be. I used to get $5 a kilo for them, but he just couldn't pay them for them, so he just threw it all in the pile. He gave it to me to burn the lacquer off. I think it's got fiberglass or cardboard insulation on it, and polyurethane resin. But as it is, it's either rubbish bin or steel pile, which is a bit unfortunate, but I'm just going to chuck it in the burner. There's nothing else you can do about it. Okay, well, this is what's left of an older model, a 5008 series. Fairly heavy duty. There's a bit of paper on the side of it which said faulty fan, but no paperwork for the unit, so obviously they've used it as a parts unit and then chucked it out. That was the control board on top. I'd say the IGBT and caps in this would probably be fine. Worth saving. There's a three-phase rectifier in there as well. This one's gradually coming apart. They're a bit more difficult to dismantle, these older style drives.